I am going to talk about, I think, everyone's favorite subject right now, which is AI. No matter where I go in the world, everyone comes to me and be like, oh, tell me more about AI. What are you doing? And it's not surprising that we are so fascinated if we think about all of the movies that we watch as well. So many of the most popular ones have had AI as the main theme. And it's always the fact that we are turning to this higher power of AI to solve our biggest problems, like the movie Her, which was about solving loneliness, or turning to AI and robots to help us with intergalactic wars, like Star Wars. Or when the robots come to kill us, hey, we turn to the other robots to come and help save us, like in Terminator. So, yeah, there's just lots of different ways. And it hasn't just been in fiction. Now, Bill Gates, who, of course, founded Microsoft, had this idea like way back then in 1991, which said that what if we could build computers that one day could see, hear, talk, and understand humans? Now, I think that this is actually really interesting because look at when he thought about this. Like 1991, most of us at that time didn't have a computer yet. Or the computers that existed at the time were these really big, huge machines, if you remember early computers. So the fact that he thought about this one day, like in 1991, was it's really, really cool to think about that. So always such a visionary. And if we look at our own houses today, that has more than come true. Almost everything has some intelligence embedded within it. Of course, we have smart TVs, smart speakers, even our car. For example, Cortana is embedded within Nissan. So now my car will remind me when it's time to get service. Like, how cool is that? But with AI everywhere and our expectations as consumers changing, because AI has made things a lot easier in a lot of places, consumer expectations are different and marketers really have to adapt. One of the biggest questions I get today is, all right, how can AI really help marketers? That's what I'm going to break down for you today. I want you to think about AI almost like a child, like another human, but still early. It's still young, so it is learning things and it is good at some things, but it's still going to grow and get better. So let's look at how AI can think about things and know things like knowledge, just like a human would. How can AI look at something and understand what it's seeing, just like a human would with vision? And then how can AI talk and listen and understand with speech and language? Let's start with vision. Now, of course, it's a little bit more complicated. I mean, if I looked at somebody and I see them smiling as a human, I know that, oh, that's a person and they're happy. But how do you train a computer to understand that? How does a computer see it and sort of recognize and get all those sort of emotional cues and everything that only a human can pick up? That's that's something at Microsoft that we try to answer and train. So it started off by training the computer to recognize different breeds of dogs. So I don't know if you actually knew that, but several years ago we inputted different breeds of dogs, so like pictures of different breeds, and then the computer was tasked with recognizing different ones. And it learned well and it did well. And then we tried to take it to the next level with humans. And if you think about AI, it's like a child. It needs practice, it needs information, and then it will learn. So just like a child has to learn to fall a few times before it learns to walk, in the same way, the computer needs just lots of information for the machine to identify the different patterns. And to make it fun and to give the computer a lot of information, Microsoft created really cool tools such as HowOld.net. It worked in a very simple way. You could upload a picture of yourself or search for a photo of yourself online, and then the AI would just guess how old you are. Now, this is my favorite tool because it thought I was only like 27. So I'm like, yes, best tool on the internet. But again, it's fun and it gives the machine instant feedback. So if it guesses I'm 27, I'm going to be like, yes, that's correct. Very good. Even though it's wrong. And I will give it feedback. Or there's another one which it's called Celebs Like Me that tells you which celebrity you look like. And what these tools do is that they're fun for the humans, so we'll play with it and thus give it more information to learn. But it also helps the machine quickly identify and get smarter because images are a huge game changer. If you think about the research, there's so much information that shows that images are the most important deciding factor when making a purchase. So if you think about making images much more impactful when it comes to search, it's simple. It just makes search much more powerful. Searching by images is so convenient. You don't even need a keyword for that. You can just simply take a picture and find the answer. Now, of course, both Google and Bing have let you do this for ages. You can go ahead and search via images. Now, if you're wondering, okay, Purna, how many people actually search by images? Like, is it that popular? Well, according to Rand Fishkin, who got click data, so actually number of people clicking to the different websites from JumpShot, he found that 22.6% of all the clicks on the internet go to Google Images. It's actually getting more and more convenient because we're being trained to use that. It's very easy. If you think about Pinterest, you can search via image. You can do Snapchat. You can do all image-based searches, even on a site like Amazon. If I wanted to buy something, I can simply take a picture and I can find it. So we're all being quite trained to use it in sites all around us. It also solves a really other important purpose. Let's say I'm looking for something but I don't know what it's called. Let's say I have to go to the shop and I need this tool. Now, I have no idea what it's called. How do I search for something when I don't know the words to describe it? You know, it would be like Z-shaped tool, weird screwdriver. I don't know. What would you call it? If I simply uploaded a picture and did a search for it, now Bing or Google will be able to tell me what it is. So in that sense, image searches are not just convenient, they allow for searches when we don't have the words to describe something. This is super important if you think about it. If you are e-commerce, for example, the world suddenly becomes your showroom. If I'm walking down and I'm like, Carolina, I really love your shoes, but what if I didn't know Carolina? I couldn't ask some stranger on the train, like, hey, nice shoes, where do you get it? If I try to do a search for it, like black high heel shoes, imagine the number of different results I would get. How do I narrow it down? So if I take a picture, upload it, I'll find something that's matching it exactly. Now I want to share with you something that Bing has done, and Bing did this first for before Google, and it is searching within an image. So let's say I'm looking at a picture of Marianne Cotillard at a Summer Awards show, and I really like the necklace that she has. What I can do here is I can zoom in on the image and look at only parts of the image that I want to search for. So if I want to look at just her necklace, I can click on that black dot that you can see on the screen right now, and then it will isolate just that part of the image. And if you see next to it, it'll suddenly show me a whole bunch of results that show me necklaces that are very similar. And if you see something, you'll see the price as well and where I can buy it. This is huge. You guys, what a game changer. This is not an ad. This is all organic, free SEO type traffic. It's pulling information from your product feed so it can match it. But how cool is that? Like now you have another option to get discovered and for people to buy what you're selling just in a different place. You're not just relying on the models or that, if you are, it's not all about clothes. Let's say you are a household company. You're not just relying on your website pictures. anybody's house could become your showroom. Anybody on the street could be your model. So it's very, very interesting. Now, how do you get your images optimized to show up? I want to give you a little checklist for visual search. The first thing you want to start off is good old image SEO. It hasn't changed in many, many years, so still your best practices would apply. You want to go ahead and optimize your file image, your org attributes, the description, anything that you have there. Also, image size and quality, make it high quality. The other thing you want to look at doing is optimizing your product feed. Remember, if you want to show up for those searches within an image, within the image tab, you want to try to optimize your product feed because it's pulling from there. You also want to try to think about structured data around your images. And something that can work for you is having a separate XML sitemap just for images. And that way you can keep it updated when there are images and see how, and give the search engines more information. Because ultimately, the more info you give the search engines, the better and more relevantly we can show your results. Now, if you're like, this seems like so much work, why would I do it? I want to give you another incentive. Now, let's say I do a search. Again, this could work on Google or Bing or any search engine. Let's say I do a search for shaving kits. There are different ways that you can show up. You can show up in your shopping ad or the product listing ad. I can show up in the text ad. I can show up in the organic listings, but I can also show up in this new thing, the image block, if you see right at the bottom of your screen. How do you get your images in here? All of these optimization tips will help you even show up more relevantly here. So you have more opportunities to get the click. You are literally dominating the SERPs. The whole search engine results page will be mainly about you if you can get all these listings there. So the key lesson when it comes to visuals is to remember you need to reach your audience in plenty of different ways, and visual is a powerful medium to do that. Let's go look at knowledge. Now, this is one of my favorite things to see changing. If you think about how search engines operated in the past, they were they were essentially about indexing just all the content that existed on the web. And it would really match it based on things like keywords to match relevance. But with advances in artificial intelligence, with things like natural language understanding and machine reading comprehension, what the search engines can now do is sort of understand the different entities and the relationships between the entities and start to understand the context of all of this content on the web. So it's not just indexing it, it helps you reason over all of the data. Let me give you an actual example. Now, I have a 12-year-old son, and my son is hugely into Xbox. If I left him on his own, he would play Xbox 12 hours a day, which is, as you guys know, not healthy. So, me and my son have all these arguments about, okay, don't play so much video games, it's not good for you. And my son's like, no, 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 it's really good for you, mommy, it's fine. Now, I have trained my son well. He will use data to make his arguments, just like a good search engine marketer should. So what he does is he'll go to Bing and he'll do this search. Are video games good for you? Now, I am the worried mother. I will go on Bing and do a search for, are video games bad for you? And if you notice in like the old way of the search engine, it will just sort of match it by keyword. And so what happens is my son, when he's looking for are they good for you, will see all these results that say why video games are good for you. And he'll think like my mom's crazy. And I will go ahead and do the search for bad for you, and all I'll see are the results for how video games are really bad for you. And then I will panic and be like, oh no, my poor child. You guys, that's a filter bubble. Like, that's not good. Like, we need more information than that. And that's where this artificial intelligence can really help. So at Bing, we have something called intelligent search. So let's say if I did the search, are they good for you? Are they bad for you? It understands now that, hey, the searcher is looking actually for different perspectives. They want to understand the subject. So what it will do, it'll give us both sides of the story. Here's why it's good, here's why it's bad. And now it empowers the searcher to make the right decision for them. This is huge, you guys. So if you can think about how with this additional understanding of all the different entities and the on the web, how it's going to make search a lot more powerful because it understands more about the searcher and their goals and the different things that exist on the web. What AI starts to do is it starts to help fuel the process to develop these really personalized experiences for each user. So if it can take in, if it knows things like, Purna tends to visit these websites, and this is the things type of things that she likes to buy, then maybe it'll start to make things much more relevant to me when it's searching. It knows that maybe I live in America, so it knows that okay, December it's going to start getting really cold. Maybe Perna has not bought a sweater in 2 years. Maybe she needs to buy a sweater now. All of these little things can start making it a lot more relevant and a much more enjoyable experience for me as a searcher. Like we are so fed up as consumers of like irrelevant ads that don't do anything for us. We see them as noise. We want these experiences that are actually helpful to us and relevant to us. And that's why we see some of the success with audience targeting now. So whether you guys are doing audience targeting on Facebook, or if you've tried things that Google and Bing both offer, things like in-market audiences or similar audiences, you see them working really successfully because you are reaching out to a much more relevant group of people. It's see that working. Another area that we see AI helping with its knowledge is with some of the automation. With things like auto bidding, it can process all of the different data and the trends of the data much more quickly and efficiently than a human could. So that way it can give us really good results and recommendations. So we can do things like automate bids for things like target CPA bidding, or we can automate which extensions show up with our ads or dynamic search ads. So this way it can save us a lot of time and free us up to do the things that are more impactful, such as more the creative side. Another area that I think is going to be very, very interesting for all of us to start paying attention to, especially over the next couple of years, is with these digital assistants and how they can get much smarter. Now, if you think about, so, a voice app is called a skill. If I wanted to interact with a company via like Cortana or Alexa or Google Assistant, I would engage with that brand's skill or voice app. Something that we realized at Microsoft is that it takes a couple of different steps sometimes to fulfill a goal. So, for example, if I wanted to look for a restaurant. So let's say I'm like, hey, Cortana, make reservations at Barrio Restaurant for 2 people at 8 p.m., please. Now there's 2 steps of this. I need to make the reservation, but I also need to go to the restaurant, right? Otherwise, how will I have my dinner? So what Cortana can start to do is she can try to combine the different skills and recommend things to me that could make it easier for me to achieve my goal. It's called skills chaining, where it chains together different skills. So what Cortana can do is be like, okay, I will make a reservation for 8 p.m. Would you like me to book an Uber for you? How cool is that? It knows that I usually take Uber when I'm going out to dinner or if I'm in a different city. And it knows I like to use it. So it's going to make this right recommendation for me. It makes it super easy for me. And it's also really helpful for Uber to show up at the right time. Again, it's so clever. So we have to really think about giving more information to these search engines and to the digital assistants so that they know how to serve us at the right time. To do that, essentially, you want to think about raising your AIQ. Now, if you're like, Purna, what the heck is AIQ? Well, according to the Purna dictionary, it is the rating of your company based on its ability and readiness to leverage the powers of AI. So if you think about it in a nutshell, you want to try to look at the different interactions that happen with your audience. And you can use AI to help you look through them and understand them. And then you want to try to figure out what is working and what is not working with this one, and then use the machines to make them better. I'll take a minute to give you a quick example. Now, in Hong Kong, they have their different franchise for Pizza Hut, which is called Yum Brands. And they were looking at their different touch points that they were having with their customers. And they kept seeing that, this mobile order had a lower satisfaction rate. And they were surprised. They're like, well, mobile makes it so easy to place my order. What is it? So, if you were looking at that, maybe your next step would be, let me change the form or let me look at the process in the mobile. But they used data, they used AI to go ahead and analyze all of the data. And what they realized was that the issue was not with their order form at all. It was actually people reached the store to pick up their order, and the waiting time was very variable. So sometimes they reached, the order would be ready, sometimes they reached and they would have to wait. So they realized, like, that is the point, like that unknown of the wait time is the friction area. So what they did, because they understood now the real issue, they created an e-ticket system with their mobile order that would tell them exactly when to pick it up and how long they would have to wait. So in this way, you can actually identify the best way if you raise your AIQ. So the key lesson here, harness the data to help you reach the right customers and gain efficiencies in campaign management. All right, let's get to the third area, which is speech and language. I really think this is everyone's favorite topic right now because, it's convenient. Sometimes we can't use our hands for whatever reason it may be, whether we're driving or we are Edward Scissorhands. And that has led to a big increase in devices such as smart speakers, assistants on your phone, or even on your computer. And because we can now use a different input, it's beyond just text. Search becomes a lot more powerful. It's easier to talk than to type. In fact, you can talk 3.75 times faster than you can type. So then we see all these adoption rates about these smart speakers. They're growing really fast. And then we become all excited about voice search. To that, I say, hey guys, curb your enthusiasm a little bit. It's actually search may not be the main area that you want to focus on. Because let's take a second in your head to think about your own behavior. If you use digital assistants, what do you tend to use them for? Like, take a second to think about it. It's not actually searching per se. So at Bing, we did a study where we asked over 2,000 people to tell us, like, hey, how are you using voice if you use voice? And we found that most people use it for very quick things like, what is the capital of Argentina? Or how long do I need to boil an egg for it to be soft boil? Or we'll use it for things like play the music, turn off the lights, lower the volume. It's these quick one-turn tasks that we tend to use for voice. We don't tend to use voice as much for really complicated things like making appointments or ordering food for delivery, things that involve a lot of back and forth. And it's not just us saying that. Media Post did a study where they found that 70% of consumers have never used voice search to shop or search for products. That's just not what voice search is used for. So now you're like, well, what should I do? Should I give up on voice search? No, you really just want to do what's best for SEO anyway. Like the things that you're already working on, for example, like your structured data, answering different types of questions, looking at people also ask or featured snippets and local listings, like all of these things, you're probably doing them anyway for SEO. So then you are doing quite fine with it, and this can help you in whatever small percentage of search is actually voice. The key thing to remember is that the easier the digital assistant can access your brand's information, the more likely it will be to surface and repeat that information. The interesting place to look at when it comes to voice and conversation is actually beyond just search. Remember, we talked about the more complicated things are not really being done via these voice as much. It's actually happening with bots. Now, of course, it's easy to understand something like talking by ordering pizza or talk local. You know, you can see you're doing that and connecting with the bot. But what about more complicated things? I want to walk you through an example. Let's say I am sitting at home, or let's say this is my friend. She's sitting at home and she's reading a magazine on a Sunday afternoon, and she finds this dress, like a photo of this dress, and she's like, this is a really nice dress. I love this dress. She can be like, hey, Cortana, I want a dress like this. Can you help me find it? And Cortana would be like, oh, it'll go ahead and use image search and be like, yeah, I found a few different options. Which one do you like? So my friend chooses one, and then Cortana will go ahead and find out where to buy it. It says, oh, it looks like Christina's Couture carries that. Do you want me to connect you to their bot? So Josie, my friend, will be like, sure. And then the bot will be like, hi, Josie, Cortana says you'd like this dress. What's your size? Josie will tell her the size. And then it says, okay, great news. I have it in your size. It's ready to ship. Now, all Josie has to do is be like, Cortana, give them my payment and shipping info. And Cortana's taken care of it, sent it over to the bot, and the dress is on the way. This whole thing can take less than a minute rather than having to go ahead and look and then go to the website and buy. It is so much faster and more efficient when the bots can come in and help. So if you think about the numbers, chatbots are getting really incredibly popular. According to Forbes, over 60% of millennials have used chatbots, and 70% of them report positive experiences. It makes sense. Chatbot is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to learn the technology, right? It's not like, oh, there's a new app and I have to figure out how to use it, or it's a new website, I have to look around. No, I'm using Skype, I'm using Facebook Messenger, I'm using Slack. It's tools I already know how to use, and I can just simply use them to engage with the business. There's no learning curve, so it's a lot easier to use it. And it saves you a lot of time. According to Juniper research, it can save you over 4 minutes when you inquire, when you work with a chatbot compared to the phone. And that time saving, yes, it's great for us as consumers. It's really good for the business as well. That can, of course, save you money as much as $8 billion by 2022 just for the banking and healthcare sectors, according to Juniper research. So if you think different verticals, the savings would be a lot more. And one of the cool things that I really like about chatbots is that you can build them once and then deploy them across all of your different channels. So I can build a bot and I can put it on Skype, I can put it on Facebook Messenger, I can put it on Slack. I don't need to keep creating new different code for it. Now, you may have noticed it says Bing right here, and you're like, well, how do I put a chatbot on Bing? You know, there's cool different options for that. For example, this is something that's still in beta testing, but this is a chatbot extension that's part of a PPC ad. Now, again, it's not rolled out, it's still in testing days, but look how cool this is. If I'm part of an ad, it has a little line that says, chat with a Contoso bot. So if I had questions about, let's say, the different Microsoft devices, I could click on that and Skype would open right there in the SERPs, and I could ask it questions right there. So it's super interesting. Now, if there's any of you here who run ads on Facebook, for example, know that you don't always have to send your Facebook ad to a landing page. You could also send it to your chatbot, so your Facebook bot, and then you can engage with the user can engage with your bot. Once they've engaged with the bot, you can actually proactively send them messages. So it can help your remarketing as well. Here's one example. This is actually one of my favorite examples. Let's say that I've engaged with this brand before. It's a shoe store, and shoe store knows I love shoes and I like boots. So it can ping me again. Let's say it'll ping me via Facebook Messenger and being like, Hola, Purna, we have a new collection of winter boots. Would you like a sneak peek? Now, what am I going to say to that? Like, see, of course. Like, I want to go take a look at your boots. Why would I not? And then it'll be like, great, I'll email pictures to you. And by the way, hey, you can save 15% in the next 24 hours if you use the code EMMS. Now, of course, my answer is going to be like, muchas gracias. And I'm going to run to the shoe store and buy all the shoes. This is helpful remarketing. This isn't the creepy remarketing that follows you all around the web. This is being helpful to me. It knows what I like. It knows what I'll be interested in. So all it's doing is asking if I want to look at something. And then it's just giving me an incentive as well in case I want to buy. I know it's marketing to me, but even though I can sense it's marketing, like I don't care. I'm like, oh, I would like to engage with this because for me, I see it as helpful. So that's a big thing you have to think about. Think about going from buy to what do you need right now? How can I help you? Now, we're all going to like talking to bots so much that Gartner has predicted that by 2020, the average person will have more conversations with their bot than with their spouse. Now, I really love the stat, but actually, my husband loves it more because it gives him a lot of hope for the future. All right. So let's think about your chatbot checklist. You want to look at, when you're thinking about a chatbot, you want to think about, does it solve the user's problem with the minimum number of steps? Like, is the user experience with the bot better than the regular experience? Is it easier than like the app or the website? Otherwise, why would they use it if it wasn't? And do users know what to do when they're engaging with your bot? If you have more questions, like a good website to go to is like dev.botframework.com, and that will give you lots of tools and sandboxes that you can use to just play around and discover bots. So remember, the key lesson we can learn here is that you want to remove any friction in the process and work to increase relevance and personalization. All right, I've thrown a lot of information at you right now, so let's quickly recap. You want to use the visual to help you get discovered and help you get purchased. Remember, visual is such a powerful medium. For the knowledge, you want to use the data to extend your reach. And with the automation options, you want to do what was previously impossible. And finally, with speech and language, you want to use conversation to influence and convert and build rapport with your audience. Like your bot is probably going to be one of the first touch points that consumers have with your brand. So you can really use it to be more likable and build a connection. So if you actually stop and think about it right now, all of us have more power in our hands than entire generations that came before us. So the question to ask you guys is, hey, what will you do with all of this amazing AI stuff? So muchas gracias. If you have any questions, always hit me up on Twitter. And I am so happy to take whatever questions you have for me right now.
Wow. Wow, great. Thank you so much, Berna. It was an amazing conference. It was so useful, so helpful, right? There we
Oh, thank
go.
you.
Thank you so much, Berna. This was an amazing conference. I think it was so helpful, right, Enio? Right. It was actually I was very entertained, and I was paying attention to every slide, and I was like wondering like, do we have all that in our hands? Like can we actually use that all that technology in order to get better at what I'm doing or to increase the amount of sales that I have on my website. It's awesome. It's amazing. I would like, I'm sorry, I wish I could find a dress as easy as I like this one, and then a
I know.
shop or an e-commerce can show me the exact same dress, right? Rather than wasting hours looking for that dress that I loved.
Yeah, that technology exists now. Like everything I've shown you exists right now. That you can take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
try image search on Bing. Like take a photo of somebody's dress that you like and see if Bing will match it, and you'll find it so much more easily. And I think Google can do it now as well, but I'm not 100% sure. So you have options.
Yes, wow. And actually, talking about that, how can small business start to interact with AI? That's one of the
Small
questions.
businesses can really benefit from AI because, I have worked for SMBs before as well. There's a lot of work and there's not that many people that are there to do it. So when you've worked in a small company, you have to do many different jobs. So if an AI can come and help you automate some of it, then it frees up your time to do the things that are more impactful. So for example, if you are running, any kind of email marketing campaign with Doppler, for example, if you can have some good analytics and can use the AI to help you report and spot trends, then that saves you time and you can find these strategies that you can use to make your business grow much more easily without having to spend hours.
We need to keep that in mind, yeah, right? Actually, there's a big checklist actually. And yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. Like, we have lots of questions. Yes, we have tons of questions. So we're gonna try to answer them all. What's the next one? Yeah, I have one here that I think it's very useful for a lot of people. Talking about strategy for millennials and another, like, do we gotta have like a strategy for older people and another one for millennials, or is it like the same? And this kind of AI is gonna just detect if it's towards someone who's older or someone who's younger.
So
I'm
look, I
not,
mean,
I'm not going by
anyone
polls
can use
here.
this. Yeah. No, that's a good question. Again, the AI will know about you as much as you are willing to tell the AI. So if you are older, so let's say that obviously my son is 12 and I'm much older than that. So if AI will know the age difference. So the if it was going to show me any messaging or any ads, it would have probably different messaging for me than it would have for my son or for my husband because we like different things. So yeah, the more the AI knows about the person, it can target it differently. So even if you are older, your audience is older, you can just think what would make their life easier. Often what we found, and again, this everybody is different, but some businesses that target older consumers, they find that consumers are confused. They don't want to go to the website or they find the mobile experience confusing. So if they could simply like talk to somebody, it's much more efficient for them. So in that way, like building the skill would be helpful for the older consumer and it can answer questions easily.
That's great. Well, thank you. So we have the last one because we are kind of short of time. Is there any database where all this information is being held in CEO research purpose? SEO.
Yeah, I think a good website that actually personally I love going to is the Microsoft Transform blog. So if you just do a search for Microsoft Transform blog, and that has really cool information. It's got case studies, it's got everything the latest, really good information for research. So I find a lot of my research on that website as well.
Okay, so Microsoft Transform blog and also follow Purna Virji on Twitter, and you can actually ask her, and she's gonna herself answer back at you. I mean, she's. I wonder what language is she gonna use to answer our audience's question. Well, I think it's the best time for you to start speaking in Spanish. Yeah. At least
I
writing
know, I'll
some.
get my practice.
She's trying already. She said like CCC. She said Carolina. You used the promo muchas code. Gracias. Yes, you used the promo code EMMS on the answer of the chatbot. That was amazing.
Yeah, I tried my best.
I know. I know.
Oh,
It was great. Okay, and well, before we go, before we let you go, we have a question, and maybe you can help us with it. Do you think a fun question? A fun question, yes, I think. A fun question. Do you think Siri, Cortana, and Alexa are friends?
Yes, so I love that, right? Cortana and Alexa are the new BFFs. So you can use Cortana to invoke Alexa and Alexa to invoke Cortana. Let
That's
me give you an
awesome.
example. Let's say I'm driving in my car and I can't remember if I turned off my lights. I can be like, "Hey Cortana, ask Alexa to turn off my lights in my kitchen," and then it can do that. Or if I'm in my kitchen and I want to check my work email and I'm cooking, I can be like, "Hey Alexa, ask Cortana if I have any new email," and it can do that. Isn't that cool? I love it. That they're it's good for the customer, really.
Yes, that's exactly. Well, we're gonna be following you as usual. I mean, I already follow you, and and I hope we keep in touch. Thank you a lot. Muchas gracias for being here, and I mean, from all the team and Doppler. Yes. And Doppler team wants to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for you to be here with us and to share all your knowledge with our audience.